Welcome into a live Bruins beat. Live Bruins beat on deadline day. We got an hour until the trade deadline. We're starting this at 2 p.m. As always, we're presented by Prize Picks. Use that promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And make sure to go check out everything over at CLNS Media, Bruins Rinkside. Subscribe there on YouTube. Lots of great stuff. Bruins beat, Poke the Bear, Pucks with Hags. You can check those all out. And if you don't like looking at us, and you're like, wow, these guys are ugly, and you just want to listen, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from. And lots of other great stuff there too. Patriots Press Pass, Celtics All Access. Go check them out. I'm Evan Marinofsky. It's Patrick Donnelly, my coworker.
Oh, yeah.
What is up?
Not much, man. We can't get enough of each other. Whether it's prep school hockey, now the Bruins, can't get rid of each other.
No, especially this week. It's prep playoffs for those who don't know. So this is a nice little break for us. We get to do Bruins and trade deadline. Not much so far. Not much.
Oh, my God, man. Nothing.
Not much so far. Stark contrast to last year when everybody, because what I was trying to think when I was coming on here. So the Marchand thing happened last second. The Coyle thing was in the earlier in the afternoon, I remember. Carlo, was that earlier as well?
I think Carlo was like right around 3:00 and Marchand trickled in like an hour later.
So yeah, Marchand was very late. I remember that was seismic, but like Frederick was
a few days before, I think.
Yeah.
Frederick and Brazeau.
Yep. Brazeau was the night before. I remember that being like, who is this KHUS Nut Dinoff? Who is this guy?
I saw Spoke Z love him, so I was instantly in.
Yeah. Once Spoke Z was in, I was in as well with that. Yeah, it's 2:02. Joseph Gallo says, I hope we get what happened last year. And there's like 15 trades right in the last 20 minutes of the deadline, because this deadline is a snoozer so far. It is a snoozer. It is. But I'll ask you this, Pat, and this is something we'll probably talk about multiple times throughout today's live stream and today's show. Are you okay with it being a snoozer for the Bruins?
It's not good radio to ride the fence, but like yes and no. You've talked about it plenty on Bruins Beat already, where like, this team's not worth probably investing a whole lot into. Maybe you nibble around the edges. Like the example that always comes to mind was 7 years ago, whatever it was, when you added like a Drew Stafford or something for like almost nothing at all, right? Or like a Nick Holden. Yeah, right. Like they've outright said no rentals. It's like, all right, well, you have some draft capital. Do you look for something now and long term? But it's, dude, the Robert Thomas price is too much. Like, you can go either way on whether you would personally pony up. I don't think the Bruins would. We know how teams value their prospects so highly. But at the same time, like, you see what right shot, like I texted you this earlier, you see what right shot defensemen are going for, and Andrew Peeke is still here, and it's very obvious he's not part of your future plans. So that's the frustrating part. Like, Victor Arvidsson has made a pretty good case for staying, and you don't have a lot of guys in that middle six who can provide juice like that on the scoreboard, or even just create chances with like 3 or 4 shots a night. Like, hey, law of averages, they're going to go in, and they've gone in for him. But you look at defensemen, and you want an upgrade on the right side. Andrew Peeke is on the right side, but he's not part of your future plans probably. And you have
it's because he's so good. He's so good.
Like, you've got like, I've heard Ty say this too. Like, you've got guys that like you're so excited about. You keep talking up like a Freddie Brunet, and it's like, okay, so this is like the perfect opportunity to see what he's got down the stretch. You might not make the playoffs. Throw him in there.
Yeah, I'm with you. So just to add a little fuel to that, Anthony DeMarco from Daily Faceoff, who's been reporting a lot of stuff on the Bruins the last couple weeks, says quiet on the Bruins front. So that was at 1:19. That was about an hour ago. I've seen nothing since then to think that that's different. We all want fireworks.
Yeah.
We all want change. We all crave big things happening and the reaction and just change in general. We all crave it, whether it's fans, media, we all want it. I'm okay with them standing pat. And that's perfect that you're on here today, Pat, because I'm okay with them standing pat. Like I am. I mean, they did the perfect thing at last year's deadline. That was to a T. They got a bunch of future assets. They traded off, kind of stale pieces of the core, and it's aged phenomenally outside of Marchand winning a cup, which like, you're happy for. You got a first round pick out of. But like, who's out there? So I saw someone comment this a couple seconds ago. Like, who is out there? Like, I don't want Trocheck. I don't want Kadri. I don't want Justin Falk. Like, Mackenzie Weegar's off the board. Colton Parayko is still on the board. Maybe he wants to come to Boston instead of Buffalo. But like, I'm not overextending for these guys. Robert Thomas is the only guy that I will sit here and discuss. Like, okay, like we can parse through what you would and wouldn't give up. Everybody else, like, I'm not dealing high-level prospects or firsts. Like, I'm not. I that's how I feel now.
Yeah, like you said, and I was like an hour ago going through the Athletics trade board, just the top 50, and I'm like, who is a fit? And the only fits are these kind of younger players who are going to be exorbitant prices. That, again, the only one, like you said, that I would probably overextend for would be a Robert Thomas. I probably wouldn't overextend for Jordan Kyrou. I like Simone Nemec, like potential there, but he's kind of sort of a reclamation project. He's not a total lost cause.
I heard Frank Saravalli say this earlier this morning on his show, Frankly Speaking. Then I like the idea of Nemec for Matt Nyes. I was like, that's an interesting deal, because if New Jersey wants, like Connor and I talked about this the other day about Nemec, if New Jersey wants like forwards for their to help their top six, you're not getting any of those from the Bruins. But if you want forwards for your top six, Matthew Nyes makes a lot of sense. Nemec going north. So like,
you mean Matt Batra doesn't do it for the
maybe that could work. Maybe that could work. But like, I don't
like you go down the list and it's like, all right, Jordan Kyrou, probably not. Nemec, like, at least probably wouldn't be as high of a price, but also probably not. So then you get into Colton Parayko, and it's like, well, he doesn't seem like he wants to leave St. Louis. And you just go down and down and down and down, and it's like, oh man, there's nothing here. Maybe like a Braden Schneider, but he's even like no sure thing to be a top 4 defenseman, and probably a higher price than you want to pay. Like the Rangers, want whatever they can get. And like one name that like kind of piqued my interest was Shane Wright. Just like, but hey, you have Fraser Minton already. You don't really need a middle six kind of potential center like that.
Shane Wright, we're good.
Yeah,
we're good. We got Fraser Minton,
Yeah, dude. But like even then, like that's not even like someone who's like remotely on their radar. That's just like shooting the breeze. Like, why not Shane Wright? And it's like very clearly not Shane Wright.
Yeah, and that's stuff that we sit around the bar and kind of discuss. And I'm fine. I mean, I will sit here and entertain Shane Wright stuff. I saw
it's probably what we have to do today with nothing going on.
Probably is kill time. We'll talk about whatever. But like, I saw a fake YouTube video. Those like BS like clickbait YouTube videos. There's one that was like Shane Wright to the Penguins. I was like, okay, that isn't happening, or hasn't at least. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the Athletic trade board, and we can do this. Bruins Hockey Baby says momentum on Braden Schenn to the Islanders.
Yeah, Frank just tweeted that.
I missed that. I went to the Athletic trade board.
Couple of things happening now. Frank has Schenn to the Islanders, and Chris Johnson also had Timothy Liljegren to Washington.
Okay. It's like those are little pebbles going in the ocean, but okay.
It's something. Like, it's movement.
It's something. But again, this is the thing, right? Like the Islanders seem like they have, I don't want to say lightning in a bottle, but they've been a fun story. They're in it. Schaefer's been nasty. They're clearly building something. Okay. Like I get that. Maybe I don't know the Islanders inside and out, but maybe that's a need. What is a need that the Bruins have that you can get at the deadline for not an insane price, right? Like they don't need bottom six talent. They don't need depth defensemen. They have enough of those. They need a top line center. They need a second pair right shot defenseman, and they need top six just talent in general. That's not happening today. Like maybe one of those things, like if they did Parayko, like maybe. But like, I'm still like I said this the other day with Parayko. The only way I justify that is he's your second pair right shot D-man for the next 2 to 3 years while you draft and develop some other right shot D-men, and then they step in 2 to 3 years from now when you're, a true cup contender. But even then, you're giving up a first or more for Parayko.
That's kind of like, my thing to a lesser extent with Rasmus Ristolainen, because like, Bruins and Philly have been connected, and I don't know who commented it, but someone was like, hey, maybe the Bruins and Philly were talking something bigger and settled on Brett Harrison and Massimo Rizzo. But
That's
like
right. That
that
trade,
is
there
it is flashing across right now. But like, man, like I do kind of like the way Erasmus Ristolainen fits and like the way Marco Sturm likes to play, and he's this year and next year, and it's okay. He's not a long-term solution. I do think Rasmus Ristolainen is weighed down by a lot of baggage from like Buffalo and those first few years post Buffalo. I think he's turned into a pretty good just minutes eater, glass eater, kind of obviously not as like much of a wild card as he used to be. And again,
I've never heard that. That's a great one.
Yeah, right. Like I don't need him to like again. I don't want to watch the the Flyers every night. But like hey, a stopgap there. That especially like when you were kind of so hitched to Rasmus Anderson and that falls through, and all of a sudden you got nothing, no plan. There's no one coming there. You got to wait to draft a kid this summer, and it's like okay, a veteran stopgap for a year or two. That feels like a Rasmus Ristolainen, but again, the price is insane.
Yeah, that's like it's the price because he fits on your roster. Like he fits. He should go back to Buffalo. They need a big right shot defenseman. He should go back to Buffalo. But like again, Connor Murphy went to Edmonton for a second, 2028. Parayko, the deal initially to Buffalo was Radim Merklin at first. Yeah. And then Mackenzie Weegar went from Calgary to Utah for Oli Mata, a forward prospect, and 3 seconds. So like those aren't cheap. And sometimes the reason
first in the aggregate.
Yeah, that's right. And sometimes again with these deals, like you have to factor in the contract. So like this isn't a defenseman, but like Connor Garland went to Columbus for a second and a third. And people go, oh, that's not a crazy, like you give him a second and third for Connor Garland. Well, you're giving that up for 6 years with a no move attached for $6 million per. And he's 30. So like, that's why that deal was not as crazy as like, a first and a prospect for Connor Garland. This is an interesting one. If Bruins Hockey Baby says if Cole Yzerman somehow is in the trade for Braden Shen, I'll be disappointed. That'd be interesting. I've always said all along, Pat, you're a BU guy, so you can weigh in on this. If Yzerman wasn't drafted under Matthew Darche,
nope.
Like Darche could easily deal him. He has no ties to him. Not saying that he will, but I wouldn't be shocked. So I don't know, something interesting. I'm curious to see what this deal is for Braden Shen, because if it is Yzerman, that would be interesting.
Like I kind of like that fit for St. Louis because like you can the Blues decor is horrible. I'm not a huge Jim Montgomery fan, and the goaltending has not been good. But it's like, man, that forward group with those guys up front, why are they this bad? And Yzerman with say what you want about the warts in his game all around, but just a guy who can score goals pretty easily. He's kind of had the yips this year, but a talent like that, probably an easy plug and play alongside a guy like Robert Thomas.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. CJ Kelly asked, the clock is ticking on Pasta's prime. They need to start the season with a legit 1C. So if they don't do something now with Thomas, who do they go for in the summer that will fit that need? It could be Robert Thomas. That's the thing. I think I said this all week. I think Robert Thomas ends up being a draft move. I think when you know what the picks are going to be, what teams know what they want, when the board's a little clearer, I think that's when you see a Robert Thomas move. There's also no rush at the draft. They have years left to deal him. I mean, if they wanted to. So it's the beginning of a deal, or it's like the middle. But like, I think it's more of a draft thing. So that could be the answer.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's that and Kyrou and Parayko. Those are all things that probably get punted till June. And even then, like you said, Robert Thomas is what, 2 or 3 years left on his deal. It's like we could be doing this for the next 2 or 3 deadlines.
I know, and
we probably will. Like that's the thing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know why the Blues are as bad as they are. Like I don't watch.
They have serious flaws on D. Like I'm not a Justin Falk fan. I might have been like 7 or 8 years ago. Parayko is what he is at what's he 31 or something like that, 29 ish. But man, like goaltending lets them down. Like Binnington, we kind of know what he is. Everyone loves Joel Hofer, but yeah,
that's 32.
Okay, that top 6, it's like, man, like he shouldn't be this bad.
I know, and I'm curious to see if Binnington gets moved today. Like his name's been thrown around. There's a bunch of like mid goalies, which again, I I ranted about this earlier this week. People who want to deal Swayman. Why?
No.
Like you want to reach back in and get Stuart Skinner or Jordan Binnington
Tristan
or
Jarry, baby.
Tristan Jarry or Sam Montembeau? Like, are we serious? So I don't understand. I don't understand the Swayman stuff. I don't get it. I think Pat, I think you and I and everybody are going to be dealing with this for the next bunch of years because everybody hates the goalies in this town. I get that, but I get it. I get it. Swayman can say comments sometimes that rub people the wrong way, but like you want to look at what these teams like the Oilers and some of these other the Canadians are having to do to retain good goalies. I mean, even the Sabres, was it Alex Lyon and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen? I think that, those are the two. They're trying to trade Devin Levi. Like they don't have an official number one. So I don't know. I think it's Swayman gets too much hate with that stuff, I think.
Yeah, he's very frustrating for the exact reasons you said. Like he opens his mouth a little too much. Like my thing with the whole thing last offseason was just stop talking. Please. Like, this will be better for everybody. The less podcasts you go on, the less whatever you say, the less main business school. Like, just stop talking. It'll be better for everybody involved. And then you get like, you come back for the Olympics, and I know it was a crazy week, but he's your $8 million goaltender who played one game in 2 weeks, and he couldn't play, and you're in a playoff race. That bugged me, but I get it. Coach's decision. And, it was a crazy week for him. So maybe he wouldn't have been any good if he goes in there anyways. But like I think the frustrations are very valid just with his, again, talking a little too much sometimes, stuff that you look at coming in last week where you're like, huh. But then you see him in 2024 when the Bruins had no business winning a playoff round. Like I know it was Toronto and Bruins in Toronto. Like they had no business going as far as they did against the Panthers in the second round and all that. And, all because of Jeremy Swayman. And he's proven a track record. He's been awesome this season. If you go by goal save above expected, he had a great, run kind of going into the new year's kind of been up and down, but like those guys don't grow on trees. They don't. And like the comment here, Boston media needs to understand that goalies are weird. And like, but you said it too. It's just this town. Like, I think we're kind of getting over the way Tim Thomas kind of broke the standard for everybody. I think we're kind of getting over that, but it's still lingering where if you're not superhuman, then you're worthless.
Yeah. And I think that's going to follow him forever. And I think he's always going to talk. Like I'm with you. With you. There are times I'm like, oh, but I do think he's always going to talk. But to my bigger point is that you have that short up. Keep that. I know it's I think it's the last year before his no move kicks in. Like there's no reason to move him. I hear that from fans sometimes. I don't move him, and they're not going to. They're not trading Jeremy Swayman. By the way, I'm just addressing that to get ahead of it. We have a show to do. And so
the thing is too, like we're talking out of both sides of our mouth with talking about him talking to the media and stuff. Where it's like, man, these guys never say anything. They're so boring. Just please be interesting for once. And then here's a guy who's interesting, and we hate it.
Well, I hate when he goes on other podcasts and says stuff. He can come on Bruins Beat anytime he wants and say whatever he would like. But other podcasts, you don't go on to other podcasts.
Yeah.
I think overall with this deadline for the Bruins, and I saw a comment earlier, someone thought that Sweeney's not done. And Sweeney does kind of work in silence. He's not someone that you hear a ton of rumors. It's not like Bill Guerin, where Billy G's going on every podcast and talking about making meatballs and making trades. Like Sweeney is the polar opposite of that. So maybe there is more to be done. I am curious if they move Peeke. Peeke to me is the real kind of X factor. I think that's like the easiest thing that I think most people agree on. I saw Hags today tweet, like, you don't want to sell off a team like this. I don't know, man. I saw that game last night in Nashville, and they've been struggling on the road. They're Columbus just got Garland. They're right behind them. Like Andrew Peeke to me is not someone that I'm like, I've got to hold on to. Sweeney is a G and Liz.
Yeah, that got me.
That's funny. But I don't. Peeke is an easy one. You have depth on D, and you've survived without him at times.
And he was a healthy scratch just pretty recently. Like it's a guy that doesn't seem like I've said it already. Like doesn't seem like you're re-signing him again. Like again, you need the right side, but you have you paid Yoki Haru for some reason last summer, and you have guys who might potentially be worth something down in Providence. Like you have the flexibility there. He should fetch you, like, gosh, we saw what Tyler Myers got. Andrew Peeke should get you something like that, like at least decent picks, maybe not a first. That makes sense. And plus, like the point you said about like, where this team is and does it make sense to sell? It certainly doesn't make sense to buy either if you watch last night's game and you see them on the road and, Philly and Nashville. And it's, they're so good at home, and like, we don't need to hash this out here, but, or maybe we do. There's nothing else to talk about. They're so good at home, and then you see them play on the road, and it makes you want to rip your hair out. And it's like PJ Stock on like intermission last night said, like, this is a team that should be good on the road for how they're built physically and stuff. And he's right. But like if you keep stinking on the road and you go into the Stanley Cup playoffs and you can't steal like game 1 or 2 of a series, or game 5, or or game 6, I guess, however the math would shake out there on home and away, like, you're up the creek. If you're that bad on the road and you go into the playoffs, and it's like they have quite a few games on the road over these final 2 weeks in the middle of the playoff race.
A ton. Yeah. And that's been a problem for them. That's why, again, like Tyler Myers got a second and a fourth. Can you, for Andrew Peeke, a team that's desperate for a right shot help, could you get a second?
I think you totally could.
A third and a fourth? Like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. And by the way, I've said this all along. It's not going to cripple you if you hold on to Peeke. It's not going to cripple you. It's not. You're not set back. But it's something. And their percentages for making the playoffs keep going down. And look, the tenor all week from Sweeney, from Morgan Geeky's comments, like, they don't want to sell. They feel they've put themselves in a really good position to, compete for a playoff spot, and selling doesn't look good. I get that end of it, but it's a business. And you saw last night, and even against Pittsburgh, like, Swayman won them that game. They did not play well earlier this week. So if you sell Peeke, I'm okay with it. If you don't sell Peeke, okay, like, fine. Arvidsson's tougher. Arvidsson's a tougher sell. I mean, seeing Corey Perry go for a second, you're like, whew. But Arvidsson's a tougher sell because he is a good part of that second line. He is contributing. And I think if you do move him, it's a problem. Like, that second line gets jumbled up, and your scoring, I think, takes a hit. So that worries me a little bit. We have a question here. Henrique Barrera. Does Korpisalo have any value? Before last night, he's been great. He has been great since January 1. I don't think he really has a lot of value because there's so many other, like, borderline starters that are on the market. Because I'd be fine if they dealt him and then DiPietro came up and backed up, and you saw what we had in DiPietro. But there's a lot of other goalies out there. I don't know. There hasn't been much around Korpisalo so far.
Yeah, and like, value goes a couple ways. Like, what's his value to the Bruins? Fairly high, because we know Swayman, has he truly handled a full workload and excelled with a full workload? Maybe not yet. So you do need some kind of viable option. And I think he's been a lot better than he's gotten credit for this season. Early on, the numbers were not good. I thought the eye test was better for him. But like you said, a lot better since January 1. But if you look at trade value, there's not a lot there. Like, just with the contract, and there are a lot of other backup goalies you can get for a lot cheaper as far as the contract goes.
Yeah, he's year 3 of 5 with a $4 million cap hit. I forget how much the Bruins have eaten of how much Ottawa took of that cap. We used to talk about it all the time, and I'll find it. But I don't. There's other goalies out there. I don't see that being a big thing. B says, Patty, it's Ganzo. I don't know who that is, but hell yeah. What are we doing? No trades and call up Hagens. He's the big time ad. Don't give away assets here. That's the thing. I mean, you also have to consider, like, that they look at, like, Hagens as an ad, because it feels like that's inevitable. I saw Steve Conroy tweet today that, he'll probably sign after the season ends. I think everybody feels that way. I would not, I'd be stunned if he stayed or didn't come right to Boston. And I do wonder if they start him on the wing. I don't know where they put him, but maybe they look and say that it's like the Red Sox when they say they have internal additions. Hagens would be an internal addition.
Huh. Yeah, they'll absolutely sell it like that. any of the Bruins management has seen our beer league games, they see Ganzo on D. We might make it trading Andrew Peeke a little easier. But yeah, no, Hagens, like that's all but a given. Like I think both sides kind of want him here after the end of the season, or after the end of BC season, I should say. That feels like you and I have gone back and forth a lot. Center, wing, what is he? What is he right away? Right away for this team, he's probably a wing. That feels like a pretty easy plug-in, maybe on a first-line left wing alongside an Elias Lindholm and a David Pastrnak. Seems like it would fit pretty well. You had a lot of size and skill to it, or not size and skill and speed to a team that could use a little more speed in their top six.
I'm curious. I mean, they're in the playoff push. Sturm has this team playing a certain way. I do wonder with Hagens if they put him in Providence.
Yeah.
I keep kind of hearing rumblings of that. There's nothing concrete, but I just kind of keep hearing that kind of keeps getting thrown around, and that he could play a ton down there. Whereas here it's like, is he on your first line? Is he on your second? Do you want to put him with Mitten on your third? Does that make a whole lot of sense? He's definitely not on your fourth line.
No.
So I'm not advocating for him to not be in the roster. Like, I want to see Hagens as much as humanly possible in the NHL level. I want to see what he is, and I want to see who he works with before you start next season. But I wonder if they look and say, better actually if he plays in Providence, goes on a playoff run down there. Like, I think that's a possibility too.
You also look at it like the way like a lot of coaches and veterans think, like, man, like we're in the middle of a playoff race. We don't want to be bringing a kid along, like letting him figure out. Like we want we want someone we know who can play. And so like if you're still in a dogfight for the wild card, and all of a sudden it's, hey, we're trying James Hagens on the wing, and it just doesn't click for 3 games, and you go 1-2 in those 3 games, and all of a sudden you're SOL, and you're like, well, that was kind of a waste of time.
Keith says if Hagens goes to Providence, trade for Thomas now. I mean,
I do think I like the idea of him, getting the end of the season in Providence. I don't know how his playoff eligibility would be, but man, it's you and I've also talked about this off air. Like, I don't know if I want him starting a season in Providence or spending anything more than the spring in Providence, because that has been a black hole for high-end prospects.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because like they haven't. How many high-end prospects have they had since Pastrnak? It's not been.
I'm trying to think. I think the last guy since Pastrnak that they've drafted, played in Providence a meaningful amount, and they developed down there, the last guy I can think of is DeBrusk. And I don't know if I might be forgetting anybody, but Georgi Merkulov probably is what he is at this point, like a quadruple A player. Rusney Castillo of hockey, not to cross sports. Like Koklachev, someone just commented, like Lysell, like those guys go down and they're just kind of stagnate. And I don't know who that's a reflection on specifically. Is that a Providence staff thing? Is that a Bruins development staff thing? Like they're all kind of intertwined, but the track record isn't good. And that makes me really nervous about someone like James Hagens. I think Dean Letourneau has like the frame, the physicality where, whether it's Boston College or Providence next year, I think both will be good for him. I'm very weary of James Hagens spending a lot of time in Providence.
Yeah, I would be curious how they would handle that. I'm with you. I think he would just be in Providence for the end of this year, do the playoff run, and then be in Boston next year. But I obviously I want to see him in Boston. I want to see what he looks like. I want to see him play alongside this team, and I think he gives them a bump on the top power play. Like now, again, and we've said this all year, to think that he's going to come in and center the top line and be like your go-to guy is ridiculous. That's not happening. But he gives you a boost. He gives you a bump. He helps you out quite a bit with speed and skill and vision and playmaking. And of course, you want to see him with Pastrnak. I don't know if you'd see that off the jump. See, my thought process all along was like, as the season was going on, I was like, all right, they're going to deal Arvidsson, get picks, and then have Hagens go on that second line as like a winger. Right? Like move Middlestat to the right side or put Hagens on the right side, even though he really hasn't done that at BC at all this year. And just kind of try to make it work, shoehorn it in and see what happens. I don't think Arvidsson's getting dealt at this point. We've heard his name 0 times today. I saw someone say, Couple comments I want to get to. Someone said, I'm selfishly hoping for a trade for White Cloud so I can finally get my Bruins Bemidji State crossover. Bad news. I think it was yesterday. Was it Frank who said that White Cloud is likely off the board, likely not getting dealt. So I don't think that's going to happen. This is crazy. Shen got a first, a third, and a prospect. That's like a Bruins last year type haul. Like I'd love to see who the prospect is, but that's a big deal, man. Like, that's a legit package. Like,
yeah, I don't know if that with a first and a third, I don't know if that prospect is Cole Eiserman.
I can't imagine
that'd be insane.
Crazy. No, it can't be.
Yeah, man. Like, hey, if things had gone differently for the Bruins this season, because we were sitting there at Thanksgiving talking about Pavel Zacha and his future here. Man, if things went completely differently and all of a sudden, hey, it's March 6th and they're not in the playoff race, you see what Braden Shen gets. What the hell is Pavel Zacha getting you? And obviously, we're not going to find out. But crazy to think about.
If you see Braden Shen go for this, right, first, third, and a prospect, do you consider Middlestat? That's what I wonder. Like, if they start to go, because like Middlestat's been helpful to this team. He's been valuable. He's been good. I would say his stock is as high as it's been in a long time. He was kind of a throw-in the Coyle deal last year. But I do wonder if they look at this. There's 30 minutes left at the deadline, so it is a little late. But if they're like, well, maybe Middlestat's the guy to go, and you get a bunch for him. I'm just throwing stuff at the wall here. But like, I wouldn't hate a first, third, to prospect for Middlestat. I know Braden Shen might command a little bit more, but Middlestat's got skill.
Yeah, and again, if you think James Hagens can kind of fit in your top 6, kind of solves that problem for you. But I don't know. I think that'd be things changing pretty quickly. I do want to. Someone mentioned Lohrei coming out of Providence. That's the last one.
And that's on D. I thought we were just talking forwards, but yeah, I mean he's and Lohrai's name has been in trade rumors like for the last month, ever since the Rasmus Anderson stuff. And I know that with the Rob Thomas, every mock trade has the Bruins like young player in there as Mason Lohrei. It's always Lohrei. I'm not, as I've said with him, like he's been better this year. I'm not dying to trade him, but like if he has to be part of a package for someone that makes you better, you do it. That's an easy no-brainer. So no issue there. One thing clear up: Bruins pay $3 million of Korpisalo's $4 million. Ottawa took on $1 million. I've had that on my phone sitting here for like 5 minutes, just kind of waiting for the perfect time. But yeah, that's Korpisalo's number. We'll get into some more Bruin stuff. We'll get into where we think they're headed this year. Can they stay in the playoff picture? Should they do anything? It's like 27 minutes before the deadline. But first, our good friends over at Prize Picks. We love our good friends over at Prize Picks. Shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss this chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports pick. Maybe someday when Massimo Rizzo's up with the Bruins, you can pick Massimo Rizzo more than 0.5 goals. Not right now, but maybe someday. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, you could cash in. Pick from all your favorite sports. Anything from basketball, baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, college basketball, tennis, golf, esports, and more. On Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. I happen to love this. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Good to be right over on Prize Picks. No, Tim, you did not miss Omaha Steaks. That's coming. That'll come like at the deadline at 3 p.m. We will do Omaha Steaks. And if I forget, someone please remind me. And if something big happens, even if like the Bruins trade Pasternak, we'd be like, nope, we got to talk Omaha Steaks first. Sorry, guys. By the way, Carl Corzini could not be on today. He is preparing for a big game on Saturday against Kimball Union in the Elite Eight semifinals. So Carl could not be here, could not give his take on the deadline, even though there's not much going on. So it would have been a big old waste of time for him, but he could not be here. So no whiteboard today. No whiteboard today. I mean, we'll reset this. Like I said it earlier, like I'm okay with them not doing a lot. Like don't overpay for guys. No rentals like that. That's been for weeks. Like don't do rentals. And it feels like there aren't a lot of rentals getting dealt across the league. It feels like a lot of teams are being a little smarter. And I wonder if something kind of broke last year with some of the deals already looking terrible now. Carlo and Carlo wasn't even a rental, but like Charlie Coyle, who they dealt away. And like, I wonder if there's been a shift with the deadline or if the names just aren't as good this year.
I think the names aren't as good this year. And I think a big part of it is like, this may or may not be connected, but you have TSN on all morning on ESPN Plus, and like they keep talking about how salary cap in the playoffs now. And like, if say the Panthers were, in a playoff spot and you're hoping to get Barkov back for the playoffs, you gotta account for his 10 million. You can't just, push it off. So that could be part of it with the rentals, especially with these cup contending teams. Like, hey, you got to actually do the math in April, May, and June. You can't just shut the spreadsheet off.
One big rental move was John Carlson. Waking up to that this morning, I was like, damn. John Carlson goes to Anaheim at like 1:30 in the morning, and I believe he was asleep when the trade happened. And thankfully, they let him stay asleep. That is a right shot defenseman. No reason for the Bruins being on him, though. Like this talks already of him going back to Washington in the offseason. Like again, like nice player. I think he was born in Natick. That's always been like a weird thing of like, is he from here? Is he not? But
like born here, but not from here. Like didn't grow up here.
Yeah. Like it's like a low ride with Louisiana. Everybody's like, he's the first Louisianian in the NHL. It's like, he isn't really. But it's why, like, again, I think it's okay. Like, I think it's okay. Connor Hickey says a Bruins boring deadline was a given, but it's crickets compared to years past for the rest of the league. I mean, it is. And I think that's the tough part, right? It'd be fun if everybody else was making big trades. It doesn't feel like it's happening. And I think, like, again, like Vinny Trocheck won't go west. So that, that cuts the league in half. And even Minnesota seems like it's a bit of a stretch. And Vinny Trocheck's a nice player. We've talked about him over the last couple weeks here, but he's not moving the needle for you. Like, I know the Bruins have kicked tires on him, but you have middle six centers. You don't need another. Like, that's my big thing with him.
That's the thing. Like, we can talk about the not going west and the trade protections for another time, maybe in a couple minutes. There's way too many no trade clauses out there. They give them out like candy. It's brutal. Like, but man, just we keep talking about for where this team is. Like Vincent Trocheck, it's not doing anything for you. Like, does it?
No.
He helps you in a round, sure. Like, are you that much closer to being a true cup contender? And like you could split hairs. Like, hey, he helps you win a round, so he helps you be a better cup contender. If you really want to dig into the weeds there and split my words, but like. Yeah, it's over 30, make a lot of money, like kind of redundant. It's just not, and like one of the things I feel like, when you look at the playoff race, we forget that the Bruins are only in year one of this thing. They haven't completed the retool. Rebuild, retool, whatever you want to call it. It's still very much in full swing. I think it's wonderful that they're playing meaningful hockey and they're in a playoff race. And hey, they could sneak in. Maybe they could give whoever trouble in the first round. Maybe they could even win a round. That's gravy. You still got to do this thing right.
You do. Trocheck, if you didn't have Elias Lindholm in his contract, you'd look at Trocheck and say, 5.62 for 3 more years. Okay. Like he can be a second, third line center, a stopgap, sort of a reliable center behind a Hagens, or when Letourneau gets here behind him, or, with Fraser Minton, like that works. But you have Elias Lindholm and you're not getting rid of that contract. So like you're stuck with that. And I think the Lindholm contract, like I think over the next couple of years, 8.1 for a player like that isn't going to be horrendous, but he doesn't fit. Like I did it the other day on Bruins Beat. I was saying, like, what if next year your top 9 centers were like Rob Thomas, James Hagens, and then like Fraser Minton? Like, that'd be crazy. And people were like, did you forget about Elias Lindholm? I did forget about Elias Lindholm. I completely forgot about Elias Lindholm. And he doesn't really play the wing. So maybe, okay, then if you got Rob Thomas, be Rob Thomas, then Lindholm, then Minton and Hagens on the wing or something like that. But it just doesn't feel like Lindholm fits great with where they're going. And you have a bunch of years left, which is a roundabout way of saying you don't need to add another middle six center. Lord knows you've got enough. Like that Trocheck, Kadri, you're good. you're good on that front.
And like the Kadri thing drove me nuts. Like, he's fun to watch. Guy you want to have in the playoffs, but it's like the same thing. He doesn't really move the needle for you. And it drives me nuts when people say, oh, Boston would love the way he plays. He'd be such a good fit for Boston's play style. They have guys like that.
You have so many guys who play the exact same way.
You have Mark Kastelic. You have Mike Asimont. Like, all good. We're like they've kind of reestablished that kind of hard-nosed identity fairly quickly. I'll commend them on that. Where kind of like you look at last year and there's no identity at all. This year they have an identity. They're back to that. You don't need more of it at this point. It does nothing for you.
Who is it? Kiefer Sherwood, who went to the Sharks, was a guy that people were like, he'd make a lot of sense in Boston. He plays the exact same way they do. He plays the same way because that's how they play. They don't need another one of those guys in the bottom six. So go to San Jose. That's fine. And I think I saw that he was like making progress on an extension. So I don't think he'll be on the block again. Back to the no move clause. So it's interesting. Connor Hickey says maybe this deadline makes it eye-opening for GMs that no trade clauses can really hurt a team, and you should only want 5 players max with any form of a clause. Here's the thing, though. So from the other perspective, I was thinking about this. If you're a player and you sign a long-term deal, and it's not like you're not a top player, you're not an earth-shattering long-term deal, but it's a long-term deal, similar to Trocheck's, right? 7 years, 5.625 per, or even 6 or 7 or whatever. If you sign that, and you're like, okay, I'm with the New York Rangers for the next 7 years. I can own a home here. I can raise my kids here. Or, I'm in Minnesota for the next 7 years. I can do those same things. But you don't have a no move. Well, if that team starts to stink, you're gone. Like, I get why players want them. It makes sense. It's protection. Like, right, if we could sit here with all the center depth that the Bruins have acquired and drafted and are going to hopefully develop, we'd be sitting here next year if Elias Lindholm didn't have a no move and say like, Lindholm should be gone. Yep. Trade Lindholm, eat some of his money and goodbye. But he has the no move. So I get why players do it. It's just, it is a pain in the ass for teams. And you see with the Parayko thing, it can get in the way. And I think it can hurt sort of the newsworthiness. It can hurt the newsworthiness of the deadline and just kind of the draft in general.
Yeah. I mean, it's brutal when you get, what was it, Wednesday night and Colton Parayko to Buffalo, it's done deal, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden Thursday morning, hold on, wait a second. But, everyone.
And St. Louis had to be pissed too. You get Murka and a first. That's a haul.
But like anyone with just a shred of common sense, like, it's the player's right. They negotiated into his contract. Fully his right to use it. I don't blame him. Whether like Oliver Ekman-Larsson, they're talking about in Toronto, like has a kid on the way. Like, man, that it uproots your life. Like, there's a little more going on than just the dollars and cents and the points and the goals. But like, it's annoying at this time of year when you're like, God, how does that guy have trade protection? Like Colton Parayko, I understand. But insert
Victor Arvidsson.
Does he really?
He had, yeah. Yep.
Oh my God!
No
like that's the thing. Like, there are a couple things I think they kind of like just completely. When CBA negotiations happen, like no stone is left unturned. So like they didn't forget about it. But that's one I wish like came up. Like, this would never happen in the CBA, but like the draft pick conditions are getting out of control. Like the third round picks in the Ottawa trade, I think it was Ottawa, with Warren Fogle in LA, I think it was. The third round pick conditions in there are insane. Like, guys, take a step back and look at what we're talking about here. They're third round picks. But the trade protections, like, man, Players Association would never go for it. But if there was a limit on, like, you only get 2 full no moves and 2 full no trades, everything else is either nothing or like max 10 team no trade. That would be wonderful. And it would create a lot more movement. And again, Players Association would never go for it, but for us, it would be a lot more entertaining, and it'd make things a lot easier on this time of year.
Well, it's like the NBA. Guys just get moved, traded around quite a bit. Thank you to GSP Hockey Z for commenting this. Looks like Falk is going to Detroit per Sun Garriosh. So Bruce Garriosh just tweeted, sounds like the Detroit Red Wings have emerged as the front runner for St. Louis Blues D. Justin Falk with 17 minutes to go. Great.
Have him.
go to Detroit. That's fine by me, man. And that's why I think if you're the Bruins, just stay out of this. I try to find a suitor for Peeke, and you go from there. Unless there's a name that we don't know, right? If there's a big long-term piece that has not been talked about that they're going to go for, like, if you want to say like Jason Robertson or something, right? And they somehow execute a swap, then fine. But for these names that we know, like the names that you see on the athletic trade board of like Trocheck and Kadri and, just all these guys, like, no. So I'm fine with that. Falk can go to Detroit, helps an opponent. And look, teams like Detroit have urgency. Teams like Buffalo have urgency. They've not been in the playoffs in a long time, and they've got to do it. They have a plan. They have the Eisner plan. So yeah, fine by me.
Yeah, like, I mean, if the Bruins got into a bidding war for Justin Falk, like, I would have been beside myself. It's the like, there's Peeke, there's Matt Poitras, like, change of scenery wouldn't be the worst thing after 3:00. Like, if he's still here after 3:00, it's like, all right, so what are we doing here? Is he an NHL player, or is he a quadruple A guy? Like, is he Georgi Merkulov? Is he going to go light it up in the AHL, come up here, and he's contributed a lot more at the NHL level than Georgi Merkulov. But it's like, all right, so what are we doing here then, right? And he's probably going to be thinking the same thing. It's just, I just don't know if anything's going to happen here in 10 plus minutes.
And again, I always think, and it's a business. It's a business, so like it's nothing personal. But I always wonder, like, when your name is in trade rumors the way Matt Poitras has been, and you're not playing a lot at the NHL level, right? If you're Mason Lohrei, it's one thing. You're getting consistent reps. You're in the tops. You're in the six that play every night. It happens. You're a young guy with a pretty cheap contract. That's how life goes. You try to play well enough that you don't have this problem in 2 or 3 years when you sign your new deal. But Matt Poitras's not playing a lot up at the NHL level. He's down in Providence. He was the next big thing 2 years ago. He isn't now. I think he even changed agents.
He did.
And I do wonder if he looks to be moved. I can't imagine. Dimmer was saying, and he said it on the podcast, so I'm not speaking out of tune here, that he told him in Providence that he wants to be there, that he's happy to be a Bruin, like wants to be there. So, that's great. I do wonder, though, if they try to trade him. And I wonder with Peeke, I'm so curious to see this Justin Falk return. I feel like, because like Garriosh was saying that they're the front runners, so I'm going to assume that the deal isn't like fully done yet, and it doesn't happen for like a little while here. So I feel like that's going to be like at post Omaha Steaks, we like break down the Justin Falk return. CJ Kelly says Poitras ranked 33rd on one of the trade boards. There are younger teams that want him and to put him on their roster. Yeah, I mean, I could see it, and I wonder what you could get for Matt Poitras. Like, do you get another pick? Do you get a borderline like fringe NHL player for fringe NHL player? Because again, like the thing with Matt Poitras is you have Hagens coming, you have Letourneau coming, you have Fraser Minton now, who like directly took his spot this year. You're going to draft more guys. You have Will Moore. You have centers coming. And when you drafted Matt Poitras, when he was sort of that next thing, you had nobody else. So maybe he does get dealt.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I think he's more than a reclamation project, but you look at it like, is there a reclamation project for reclamation project trade out there? There's like some people in the comments have said, like, there's got to be a younger team that sees value in him and will play him now. And again, maybe he wants to be here, and that's all well and good. You like to have that depth and a guy who can come up and contribute in a pinch, but it's kind of redundant when you get to those next guys coming, and he's not going to be a fourth line spark plug for you. So if there's no room in your top 9, then he's just kind of sitting down there in Providence.
Court Lalonde tweeted the other day, like, start a package for Nemec with Matt Poitras. And like, I love the thinking, and I think in a perfect world you would do that. But even if New Jersey loves Matt Patra, like, right, like, even if they internally say our scouts have watched Matt Patra and we think that he can be an everyday top 6 center in the NHL for us, that's not a popular sentiment. So it's not like the price for, it's not like it's like Patra's this highly coveted prospect that you have to have. So it's sort of like with NFL draft, like, diamonds in the rough, right? If there's a guy that's like a 4th round projected guy, you're not picking him in the 1st round. You're just going to wait till the 4th. So I think with Patra, it's the same thing where it's like, if a team loves Matt Patra, I don't think that they're like, we'll give you a 1st and a 2nd, or like, we'll give you Nemec for Patra straight up. I think it's like, oh, we'll take Patra of your prospects in a deal that you're like already doing, or like, we'll give you like a 3rd or a 2nd for Matt Patra. That's what I think, but we'll see. I mean, it's 9 minutes to go until the deadline. And as Libertarian says, deals always trickle in after 3. So maybe there'll be more after, but nothing so far.
Yeah, and the Patra thing, with especially like in regards to Nemec, it's like the report from, I think it was Pierre LeBrun, maybe it was Darren Dreger, it was one of those TSN guys, I think. New Jersey wants to impact their forward group in a meaningful way. It's, you're gonna sell Matt Patra on impacting your forward group in a meaningful way? Like, maybe. He wouldn't be enough to get Simone Nemec if you want to do a 1-for-1. It'd have to be Patra and picks.
This is an interesting idea. Octolac says, call up Buffalo and see if you can get Merca. Maybe he's disgruntled after almost getting traded.
Sure.
That's not a terrible idea. I mean, he was was he the 9th pick?
He was 9th. But, like, you could have a pretty high pick from Toronto this year. Like, hey, if you miss the playoffs, your pick could be okay. And it's supposed to be a draft that's, I think, okay with defensemen in the 1st round. What would be the point of that then? Like, you might as well just wait and use your own assets in June. As much as I would love to do that, that'd be sick. But it's, you get your own picks to potentially do that with.
Yeah, Merca, that'd be tough. I mean, you would have to be really disgruntled and be like, I only want to go to Boston, because like you're giving up a 1st or 2 for him. Connor Hickey says, give Toronto their pick back, Florida's pick, and Lysell for Matthew Nyes. That's a little much. That Toronto pick should end up being really good. Toronto's selling off pieces. I know that you saw, didn't you watch?
Oh my God, it drove me crazy. Like, if TSN has their way, the Bruins will not be getting Toronto's pick this year. Because, Trade Center, like everyone else, is trying to just fill time today. Exactly what we're doing now. They did a mock draft lottery, and I believe them that they did it right and they did the thing. But it's like, you got to be kidding me. Toronto not only won the lottery and moved into the top 5 from number 8, they got number 1 overall, which is like, they themselves were like, oh my God, here come the tweets, here come all the bashing. But I was like, come on, let's get serious here.
If that's TSN, that means it's absolutely not happening, because that, like, all Toronto's luck went into the TSN mock lottery. Yeah. So once they actually do it, it'll be like pick 6. That'll be the funniest thing. And the thing is, Ottawa's pick is nullified. So if Ottawa ends up with, we went through this a couple months ago, but if Ottawa gets like number 5 and Toronto's 6, you're basically getting the 5th overall pick, because that pick just, like, they skip it. It's not like Toronto moves up. It's not like every team moves up. It's just that pick is gone. So Toronto would stay at 6.
Yes.
So yeah, that would kill me. That's the dream scenario. But that's the thing, right? Like, when people talk about like Rob Thomas, because I've seen a lot of national people, like Dom Lissizin was saying on Twitter this week that, like, it was a deal of like Toronto's pick, Hagens, or just, Letourneau, those kinds of players. And he's like, you're hoping that those guys become Rob Thomas. And I agree. That's why, like, I've said to you a lot, I said this to you like a couple months ago. I'm like, I'd consider it. Like, you're Rob Thomas, the number 1 center already. Like, you're hoping that those guys do that. You're hoping to pick guys in the draft who become like a Rob Thomas. But I don't, like, that Toronto pick's going to be valuable, man. Like, if you end up bottom 10, like, you're getting a difference maker. You're getting a franchise type player.
That's your right shot D right there.
Yeah, that is your right shot D. As Tim says, that Toronto pick is looking to land at 6th to 9th overall. You have to pick a right shot D there. I don't think you trade that even for Nyes. I do.
And, like, I do. It's the thing too, where you can go back at all the big time trades you want, and like parse out, did this prospect work out? Did this pick work out? Like, how about the team that got the sure thing NHL player? It's like, okay, the Bruins are getting the sure thing NHL player, number one center, probably what you hoped Elias Lindholm would be. But at the same time, gosh, you want a little more. You want those lottery tickets. You got Hagens, you got Dean, you have that high pick from Toronto. You might have a high pick from Florida next year. I don't know if there are any protections on that. Like it's the potential of having that many lottery tickets versus just the one guaranteed.
I was looking through people, kind of just Bruins fans and people's reaction. Like Defumi tweeted, love Defumi, great YouTube channel, all time. I think it was like 20 years he tweeted that he's been doing that YouTube channel, which is incredible. He says, yeah, legitimately God's work. Tweeted, doing nothing means sliding backwards when the teams around you improve. How do you justify not choosing a direction? So I don't disagree with that. Like when I initially looked at that, I thought he meant like buying. He wants him to buy, but that's not what he's saying. He's just saying pick a direction. I mean, again, like we'll see. We have 4 minutes. Do they deal Peeke in this time, or do they just say nothing? Like, I don't think you're sliding back. I think you're just kind of playing it conservative, and I don't know. I'm okay with that. Like I'm fine with that. You compete with who you have, fine. You have a ton of picks coming up. You have way more prospects than you did this time last year, right? Like center depth for prospects is no longer an issue. You nix that in basically a year and a half. You have wings coming. You have like offensive talent. Now it's on D. So I don't necessarily look at it that same way.
Yeah, and like the thing is, we talked about this a little bit already. Like they're just in such no man's land where, yeah, they've earned the right to compete for the playoff spot. Is there gymnastics you can do where one guy goes out, maybe a younger, maybe potentially long-term piece comes in? Yes. Is that going to happen with 3 minutes left? No. I like there are things you can do. There's the Peeke thing, and like there are ways to kind of bolster those lottery tickets and your assets without selling off in meaningful ways. But yet look at the optics for the guys in the room, and you can weigh how much that should be valued, and treating it like business decisions. But they're in a playoff race. Like it's tough to sell from that. But there's certainly not anything I would invest meaningfully into for this season. It'd have to be for beyond.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And so Pierre LeBrun just tweeted, Rasmus Ristolainen stayed put, Flyers had a price and stuck to it. So that ain't happening. CJ Kelly, interesting comment on the screen here. Wonder what Pasta and Geeky will think of Sweeney not doing anything after the comments they made. It's a legitimate thing. And I do wonder if they are pissed, if they're fine with it. I mean, again, they expected to be sellers. So like the fact that you didn't sell anybody, the fact that you stayed put, the fact that you've been good enough all year to just say, hey, you know what? We're going to play out the rest of the season with this group. They could have sold. They still could this 2 minutes. But like they could have sold and they didn't. I feel like that's the bright light for guys like Pastrnak, Geeky, McAvoy, where it's like, nope, we're just keeping this team the same as is. And that's it. Like there's value to that.
I think there's the way to spin it. And I think it's something they can take to heart, where it's like, hey, this is it. These are the guys in the room. You've gotten us here. Go get us to the playoffs. Like there's value in that. Obviously you're probably spinning it a little, but I do think there's value in that. And maybe something trickles in here in the next half hour or so after 3:00. But I think that's what they're saying. They're telling them, hey, to you guys, this is what's got us here. This is what's going to get us there. And we weren't going to do anything reckless to add to that, or we weren't going to do anything, to subtract from that.
I always enjoy on a day like today scrolling through and seeing Petrov McGuire quoted Darren Drager from 2015. Boston acquires Brett Connolly from Tampa Bay. Another shrewd depth move by Don. Build the depth. And you see it for a second, and you're like, oh, did they make a move? And then you're like 3-2 2015. So I always enjoy that on deadline day.
I saw the Jerome Ginlow one earlier.
That was awesome. That was great. Curious what the comments are saying. Not trading Arvidsson is a joke. JMG Gillis says, hopefully some moves going to be announced late after. It's 3 p.m. deadline. So deadline just hit. which means
Pencils down.
it's Omaha Steaks time, baby. Omaha Steaks. That's how we're celebrating the trade deadline. Starting the year strong is easier and more delicious with premium portion proteins from Omaha Steaks. Stay satisfied, get energy, and fuel your routine with premium prepackaged protein delivered to your door from Omaha Steaks. From handcrafted USDA certified tender steaks to gourmet burgers, versatile chicken and pork, and more, they have an unmatched variety of high quality protein that everybody loves. Omaha Steaks has been America's original butcher since 1917, a family-owned company with over 100 years of expertise in the meat industry. They also carry mouth-watering burgers, chicken, pork, seafood, dessert, and easy-to-prepare comfort food. Let Omaha Steaks deliver high-quality proteins right to your door. Visit omahasteaks.com and get an extra $35 off with promo code Patriots at checkout. That's OMAHA steaks.com. Code Patriots, terms apply. See site for details. I mean, who doesn't love? Look at those burgers, man.
I mean, come on.
God,
Someone was saying they
damn.
need to provide adult beverages with these. There was a crispy beer in the background on one of those shots.
Must have been. My head is always down looking at the read when I'm looking at these. So when I could just kind of enjoy the filet mignon and the ribeyes, like it's a thing, man. It's a thing. So go check out Omaha Steaks. They're good people over there. Yeah, exactly. I feel like Omaha Steaks needs to provide. Yeah, that's exactly it. CJ Kelly. You're 100% right about that. So the deadline's passed. Pencils down. As you said, exams over. Nothing. They did nothing. Actually, Pierre LeBrun just tweeted, the Panthers are currently focused on trying to re-sign Sergei Bobrovsky. So, wow. That's something. So the one trade the Bruins made was the AHL players for AHL players swap. Jackson Edward and Brett Harrison to the Flyers for Alexis Gendron and Massimo Rizzo. And that's it. So what do people think? Are you happy, sad, indifferent? I'm curious. I'm fine with this. I am totally fine with this.
I'm fine too, but like it's annoying. Like deep down, you knew they weren't gonna do anything, or at least I didn't think that. Like deep down, it's like, man, there's just nothing happening here. And then it comes and goes, and it's like not even anything, nothing at all. Maybe like a fourth liner comes in here for a 5th round pick in half an hour or so. But it's like, that's it, really?
I'm going to assume that they didn't get what they wanted for Andrew Peeke. Because as Sweeney said earlier this week, we're only going to do deals if the price is right. Like, I don't think they're desperate either way. If you lose Peeke in the offseason, whatever. If you lose Arvidsson in the offseason, whatever. I'm going to guess that they just didn't get the deals they wanted for those guys. And I also, like, Andrew Peeke was just scratched. So, like, did he get a second? Like, I think I'm going to guess that they held on to Peeke because they didn't get the price they wanted. Not so much that, like, oh, we need Andrew Peeke for the stretch run. I think it's just we didn't get a price and we'll just keep the group together. That's what I think ended up happening. We'll see if anything comes out about that, but that's just what I think.
I mean, it's got to be it because, like, being a healthy scratched recently is certainly not good for value. But, like, yeah, it's exactly what you said. You don't want to do something for the sake of doing something. They said that too. But hey, man, if you told me 2 or 3 years ago that they got Massimo Rizzo, I would have been floored. But things haven't.
Yeah, he was nasty at Denver. I remember him at Denver. He was great. Bobby Brink got moved today too, another Denver legend. So
same team as Rizzo. Those Denver teams were nasty.
Crazy good. Last minute deal, Bobby McMahon to Seattle. So interesting.
Nice.
Nice. Congrats, guys.
Put it on the fridge.
Someone said, who said it? Someone said it in the chat. I think Bruins Hockey Baby said, I think there's a minor deal happening. Someone on X said. I haven't.
The thing about being in the live show, man, you can't grab everything on X. So,
well, that's why I got my phone right here. Because if I do it on my laptop,
trying to keep an eye on it
too. It's tough. I mean, look, this deadline was never going to be one with fireworks. And so it's interesting. Like this guy, Erdnase says, the guys deserved a boost. Prices were insane. That's the truth. Like, I think prices around the league were bananas and they weren't going to pay it. So
yeah. And
They didn't.
that's the thing about like when you flip this back to a Peeke or an Arvidsson, that's the frustrating part when you hear for the last 2 days, oh, it's a buyer's market, and you're seeing the prices that are out there for guys that are kind of right around Andrew Peake's level, whether that's a Luke Shen or a Tyler Myers. Um, and Tyler Myers is probably better at this point in time than Andrew Peeke, at least on the back end of his career, very much so, but helps Dallas more than Andrew Peeke would. But you see those prices out there, you hear all the talk of, oh, buyer's market, and then you don't get what you want. That's frustrating.
It is. It is. Falk officially to Detroit, so that's not a huge shock. I do see people saying like worst trade deadline day of all time. Like it's up there. Like this has been a pretty boring day.
Yes.
So it's not like there was a lot happening and the Bruins didn't do anything. It feels like there wasn't much happening and the Bruins didn't do anything.
At least we didn't have to fill from like 8 a.m. like TSN did, or 24 hours like the What Chaos fellas.
How about that, dude? 24 hours. That's
for nothing.
Incredible.
For nothing at all.
They must have went nuts though at 1 a.m. when the John Carlson news.
Oh my god, I'll have to go back and watch that.
Like they must have gone bananas. But yeah, they're creative though. 24 hours of like doing this would be rough. At least they're there. They can play like Bop It, and they can draw pictures of guys on the whiteboard and everything. Like at least they have that. But oh my god, not a lot going on this year. So I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it. I'm okay. Will the Bruins be okay? I'm curious. Like, will they be angry? We're not going to know publicly, but was it like, hey, why didn't you go out and get us like something? I know that they wanted the talk of the team was a right shot D-man for that second pair. I just like, who is that going to be? So I'm very curious to see the Justin Falk return.
Like, there are options there for the second pair, right side, but again, where this team is right now, how much of a fit is that? Justin Falk wasn't going to be a fit. Like I said earlier, I could have gotten around on Ristolainen just as for a 1 or 2 year thing, just a guy to eat minutes, play physical, hopefully not do anything idiotic like he has a penchant to do. But other than that, like unless you're going out and the Rasmus Anderson thing was their best shot, and that didn't happen, and Colton Parayko wasn't happening, so it's like, all right, kind of leaves you out of options that fit well for the here and now and the next several years, because they still got that to think about. This thing, like we've said, this thing is not over. They're still in year 1 of the retool. They're ahead of schedule this year, but still got to do it right.
I agree. Justin Hall is going to St. Louis. Ryan Strome is going from Anaheim to Calgary. That's
interesting.
An odd one. I'm very curious why that happened. Anaheim's in a playoff race, second place. I'd be curious what they're getting. But
Blake Coleman?
Yeah, sure. Right. Like you want a Stanley Cup, you add Blake Coleman. Bruins Hockey Baby saying first and a third for Justin Falk and Justin Hall. That's not like the worst. I'm
okay missing that boat though.
Yeah, I'm not dying to do that. And maybe I'm like hugging the prospects too much and the draft picks, but fine. Like let everybody else do this. You didn't have, and I said it earlier, your biggest needs are top line center, top 6 wings, top 4 right shot D-man. Did you think you were going to do all? I mean, Robert Thomas is a great thing to talk about and it's fun. And like, I do think there's still smoke to that come the draft, but I don't think it's happening now. No. I don't. Well, it's interesting. So like someone said it just now in here and we got sidetracked. A Stack said Garland would have been worth grabbing even if we gave up a little extra. So Connor and I had this debate. I'm curious what your thought is, Pat. Connor Garland is 6 times 6 for the next 6 years after this. Would you rather have Connor Garland at 6 times 6 or Victor Arvidsson at 3 times 4? Like, because I don't know if they re-sign Arvidsson. I'm curious what people think. I don't think that they do. But like, would you rather Garland basically your third line right wing at that price or Arvidsson? Like, I know what my answer is.
I'd probably say Arvidsson. That's a lot to pay for what's ideally a third line right wing. And like I know Garland probably brings a lot more to you forechecking wise and stuff like that, but older than I think a lot of us realize, more expensive than a lot of us realize. It's yeah. I would be okay just sticking with like Arvidsson and doing another kind of mid-range deal, and because yeah, like you got a guy, he can chip in ideally 15, 20 goals. He can play on either your second or third line, and you got a guy like that already. How much more of an improvement is that? And you can make the case for like the forechecking stuff. What his impact could be in the postseason, but it's redundant at that point.
It is. Rangers did not move Vinny Trocheck. That's one thing. Ryan Strome went to Calgary for 7th round pick. That's
Interesting.
wild. Is there a cap situation there? Like, I don't know, but that's interesting. You Bruins could have got him. He could have been your top line center.
Also a guy who's sneaky a lot older than we realize.
I feel like he's been,
like
yeah.
33.
I always get him and Dylan mixed up because of brothers.
Both been around forever. And I remember like for the longest time waiting for Ryan Strome to finally take off with the Islanders after he had like, I think a pretty good rookie year, second year. And then it was kind of, all right, what is he? And then he figured it out in Anaheim.
Was he the one picked in the 15 draft? There was one that was like a top 3 pick.
That was Dylan.
Dylan was a top 3 pick. Yeah, I mean, like again, some people have mentioned it. Like Sweeney's going to speak today. I think at like 4. I would expect him to say what he said earlier this week. The prices were exorbitant, and I'm going to guess that when it comes to Peeke and Arvidsson, it's like, well, we want to keep this team together. And I'm also going to assume with Peeke, it's like we didn't get the right offer for a guy like him. Now, I'm curious to see if anybody asks, and if he answers, would you re-sign Peeke? Would you re-sign Arvidsson? I don't think you should re-sign Peeke.
No,
I don't, because I think that you have Yoki Haru, and that's 1/3 right shot D-man's enough. Arvidsson, you could maybe, but I still would rather you not. You have prospects coming up. I think that log jams those prospects a little bit too much. But if there's any team that would sign a veteran like that to a third line contract, I feel like it's the Bruins. So wouldn't be stunned if that happened, but I don't know.
I could get around to re-signing Arvidsson. I think like it doesn't feel like Peake's part of the future plans here. You can find depth defensemen fairly easily. Yeah, and he's going to get asked about it. He won't give an answer. He'll either say though, we don't want to publicly discuss contracts, or we'll go down the road with both players and see where things lead.
He'll throw the mic at Ty, just like like a tomahawk.
He'll just stare daggers through Ty's chest. Like it'll be a total non-answer.
I was just thinking about this. So last year they sell everything, and it's like, oh, they're going to retool / potentially rebuild. And a year later, we know that they just retooled. They didn't really have to rebuild. They're back in the playoff contention this year. So that actually worked. What do they do next year? What do you hope? What do you project that they are next season?
You certainly hope you don't go backwards. And
yes,
like you have to consider just how lights out their kind of 5-on-5 production has been, their shooting rate. It's like, okay, if you want to play those numbers and stuff, it's like, all right, well, are they getting lucky this year? Is this all this is? Are they just shooting at a unsustainable clip? So if those things fall and all of a sudden you're sliding backwards next year, then, maybe you start looking back at today and you say, why didn't you do more to sell off and acquire more assets? But I think things have gone well enough so far under Sturm's system. The guys they have kind of stepped, like someone made a point about Middlestat earlier, kind of, changing, like kind of beating the allegations. His board play has been a lot better than I think any of us thought. Like he's been pretty good in battles. Like that's a guy I kind of thought was going to be a total zero for a little bit. And he's morphed himself into a good player. And, Sturm is pushing the right buttons. You hope that continues, and you hope you add a Hagens, and, whatever you do with the draft. Is it trading for a Robert Thomas when, heads are a little more level in June, or is there something in free agency that we don't see coming? Is there another trade in the offseason we don't see coming? Like, I think there's after the way things have gone this year, and you still might not make the playoffs, but it's a step in the right direction, especially after last year. Guys have taken steps, namely a middle stat. Is he here for the long term? I don't know, but Sturm can get stuff like that out of those guys.
Yeah, I wonder about next year. Like last year was a complete sell-off. This year was standing pat. Is it too much to expect next year? All right, you're in on some guys. You go out and, right fit. But I still don't see them being in play next year for like rentals.
No.
Unless they are nasty, unless they are number 1 or 2 in the Atlantic and Hagens is lighting the world on fire and you need like one more thing. You need like a top 4D or something like that. Like, unless that's it, I see them kind of in a similar boat next year where it's like looking to add people that are long-term pieces of the core and not really going for huge rentals. That's what I see them as next season. They're a little bit better. They're marginally better, you hope, next year, where they're maybe more securely in a wild card spot, or they're more in the 2 to 3 range in the Atlantic. And maybe that's wishful thinking. Maybe I'm trying to speed the rebuild or the retool more than it is, but I still don't see them in the market for rentals next year either. And another thing you also hope, Pat, this time next year, you should have a good amount of NHL games for James Hagens. And you better hope that he's same value or more in terms of like, oh, it was good that they didn't do that Rob Thomas trade with James Hagens involved. Whereas like if he struggles next year, which he could, like he'll be 20 years old next year. So that's completely reasonable. But you just hope that it's not like, oh man, should have done that deal. Like that, didn't age well. I don't think that'll happen, but that's what you hope doesn't happen, obviously.
Yeah, I think, to your point about, rentals and like, I don't see that happening either. I do think if things are kind of on the upward trajectory like they are now, and maybe they're a little more sure thing in the playoff race next year, does that make you a little more willing to, not with a Dean Letourneau or a James Hagens, or say whatever picks you have next year are looking, really good. Maybe this makes you a little more willing to play around with some of these extra picks you have, whether it's Florida's pick, whenever that comes down the pipe or wherever. Does that make you a little more willing to use those in, if there's a Robert Thomas or a Simone Nemec or that type of, not only for here and now, but also for the next several years, if that type of player is available, you're probably a little more willing to use those.
That's a great point. In that, like right now, the Bruins are in a spot where they finally have picks and prospects. First time in a long time that they have all these picks and all these prospects. And you can be in on Rob Thomas and Simone Nemec and all these different players and be in it. But you're kind of gun shy. You want to see what those picks turn into. You want to see what they end up becoming. Whereas you're right. Next year, you'll have a better idea of Hagens. Letourneau should have another year of BC under his belt, and he should be killing it. And then you have Zellers, you have Cooper Simpson, you have all these different kinds of players. You have your picks, and you say, you know what? You said it, Pat. That Florida pick, maybe not as valuable as we thought it was. Or like by that point, they'll have made Toronto's pick. You hope if it's not a top 5, if it's not top 5. So you have that pick. You have your own pick. You have your picks you made the rest of the draft. Maybe we can get rid of our 2027 first. Our own, so to speak, if I'm the Bruins. So
yeah,
I agree.
That Florida pick might still be 2028. There's a lot of conditions on that. But one way or another, you'll have your own picks, I think, in 28 too. So you'll have 27 and 28. You'll have your own picks. You'll have the Florida pick somewhere in there. You have a bunch of seconds. I think the seconds might be this year. I just had it up. Or no, you don't have a bunch of seconds. You have a bunch of fourths. So that's not exciting. But yeah, hey, you'll probably be a lot more flexible with the draft capital. You can move around next year.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it for next season, where it's like, they maybe a little bit more. I don't want to say reckless. Cavalier is the word. Cavalier with their picks, maybe, and their prospects next year. Here's a thing we can kind of discuss. Leafs are selling. They're trying to get to the bottom 5. Wonders Boston GM. I don't think they're bad enough to get to the bottom 5. I don't. And knock on wood.
Yeah.
Knock on wood. But I don't think that they're bad enough to get to 5. I think they're going to land in that next tier.
Yeah, and someone in the comments too made like the point of there's still like 7 teams they'd have to fall past. Like, I love, trying to set the math up in your favor as much as possible. That's what they should be doing, especially in a draft like this, especially when they're having a year like this. There's no point trying to kick the can. Let's just bottom out and try and get a top 5 pick. I don't know if the math is in their favor. Now, things have not gone well after the Olympic break. Maybe if they keep playing this bad, maybe it does happen. But it's the math. Like in the Eastern Conference alone, there's 3 teams ahead of them in the draft lottery, and then you get into all the bottom feeders in the West, and the West is very weak. Like it's an uphill battle, probably mathematically, for them to get into top 5.
Yeah, I mean, you have New Jersey, fewer points than them. Florida, the New York Rangers, who will bottom out. Did not trade Trocheck, by the way. Trocheck will be staying in New York. But then, you get into Winnipeg and Nashville and Chicago and St. Louis and Calgary, and Vancouver is dreadfully bad. Dreadfully bad. So, like, it's going to take a bit to get them into the bottom. I will say, though, last year, the Bruins, if I'm not mistaken, were like 2 or 3 points out of the wild card when they sold everybody off. So let's not like declare anything official, but I have to imagine that Toronto's not getting, and because the Bruins finished, what was it, 5th last year? And then they got the lottery kind of screwed them down to 7th. Was that what it was?
Yeah, they were 5th or 6th. They ended up 7th, something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, the Rangers are going to keep bottoming out. Like these other teams got worse too. It's not just the Leafs that got worse. So yeah, it's I don't know. They could, and like, look, there was the video last night or 2 nights ago, whatever it was, of Craig Berube being fired up on the bench and just 1,000-mile stares from the guys in front of him. Like, they have tuned that guy out. So maybe things do go poorly enough, but it's again, like, those other teams are going to be just as bad.
Yeah, I agree. Ryan says James will be like a deadline edition coming up no less than 2 minutes into Sweeney press conference. I don't think he's going to explicitly say that. I think
no, but that's what
I think that's what
high
they
and
think.
boom Red Sox.
Yes, which, like, I'm okay with in this sense. Like, if you think he can come in and be in the top 9 and it works, like, great. I still wonder about Providence. Still wonder if they're going to end up putting him in Providence and giving him the rest of the season there.
So the Braden Shen return. Braden Shen for a first, a third, Jonathan Drouin, and a goalie prospect. Last name Gidloff.
I don't know him. That's fine. Either. Jonathan Drouin still getting moved like all the time. I feel like he's been on every team. Yeah. No Cole Eiserman though.
Hey, if that, like, again, we don't know anything about this goalie prospect, but hey, doesn't hurt to take a flyer if you're St. Louis.
There were a lot of guys last year. I mean, Fraser Minton, I remember looking him up being like, who is this? Who's Fraser Minton? Oh, he's this, high-end prospect for the Leafs. Okay, what's he going to be? Who's Sandinov? Same type of thing. I mean, I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. Their deadline last year was perfect. Like, looking back, it was, if it wasn't fully perfect, it was almost perfect. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Like, I know that Bruins Hockey Baby says nobody said the Bruins are done yet. Maybe there's something. We're getting to 3:30 here. I'm going to assume that they're done. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm going to assume that they're done. Like, there's been no rumors about them.
Were they ever started? Like, do we need to declare them done if they never started?
They do. It is funny though. They do, like, they were in a lot of rumors with them this year, which was fun for this. It's perfect. Trocheck and Kadri, and you get to break down Robert Thomas, which was great. But no, I mean, they didn't really do anything. They did the one AHL swap. I'd be curious. I think there are a lot more teams this year that didn't do anything. So, like, it is what it was this year. They didn't do anything stupid. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, like, we can say this till we're blue in the face. The only thing we would have gotten crazy for would have been Robert Thomas, and even then, we've kind of hashed that out already. Like, you're probably, and again, go through the history of those types of trades and see what works out better in the end for, the last 5 years or whatever it is, with Vegas making trades like that and all this. But like, from the Bruins perspective, you can totally understand wanting more kicks at the can with Hagens, with Letourneau, with those first round picks. Like, it's not unreasonable.
It's funny. I am seeing more people on Twitter and in the comments being more realistic with Hagens, because I do think that that's important. You should not think that he's going to be this number one center who's going to come in and he's going to transform your team. Like, he'll be a nice complementary piece at most when he comes up after BC season ends, which might not be that far away after they lost to UMass last night, 2-1, which I was like, hell yeah, plant the flag. And CJ Kelly says, I just don't think you should rush him. Have him take the next step and play for Providence for a few months to experience the playoffs, then have him at training camp. If that's what they do, if they do Providence for the end of this season in the playoffs, and then he's up in training camp next year, which he obviously will be, I'm fine with that. Like, I obviously want to see him in Boston, but I'm fine with that. I'm not,
Yeah, and
I know you're not crazy about Providence, but I don't think it's the worst.
No, it does make sense. It's just, the track record is concerning. But different position, and this was like 10 years ago at this point, but like there was the Charlie McAvoy path of starting Providence, and then, hey, you never want to wish for injuries, but you're so decimated. Hey, kid, come up, and it worked out.
Bruins Network, who is away, who he is in Europe. I'm not going to say where. I'm not going to dox Anthony like that. Hagens should be nowhere near Providence, in my hellish opinion. That's what the H stands for, and I am HO.
Ball knower.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's true. Like, the reason I'm comfortable with him, like, if he went down there, is the Mitten path last year. Like, that can work. But I do want to see him in Boston. Like, I obviously want to see him up here, and I want to see what he can do for you down the stretch for playoffs. I just don't know if Sturm's fully open to that. If that's one of the big things, I've said this to you before, Pat, with Sturm, not to cut you off. Can Sturm coach a guy like Hagens? What's that going to look like? So I'm very curious to see that as well. Not that you're going to see that fully this year, but it's a storyline to watch.
Yeah, and like if this was, GM mode, or you're playing the game, like you're on paper it makes total sense. Try him out on first line left wing. Like that it makes a lot of sense. But again, whether it's Sturm, whether it's the players and the veterans, like, God, do we really want to be bringing a kid around and like trying to help him out and coach him up in a playoff race? Like, that's very real. And again, like, if it doesn't click, then all of a sudden, like, man, you just cost yourself a handful of games in a tight playoff race. I'm on board with, spring, like in the March, April, May, AHL playoffs, rest of the AHL regular season. Like, there's value in that. It's just when you get to next year, and if he's not breaking out of camp, that's when I'm like, oh man, we might never see him again.
Yeah, no, if he doesn't break out of camp next year, it's like, should have went for Robert Thomas in that sense. Regine asks, this is pertinent to both of us, because we did photo shoots with both of these guys. Was it 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
Would you rather Hagens or Yzerman on the Bruins? I would say Hagens.
I would say Hagens. Like, he can play center. Like, Yzerman has had not a good year. I think he's been getting the chances, but it's just, for whatever reason, not going in. But I think the concerns about like his one dimensionality, like, are valid. You want the center guy who can play both. He's proven it this year. A little bit more of a playmaker, a little bit more of a play driver. But like, hey man, Yzerman does the hardest thing, which is score goals, better than a lot of people. So there is value in that too.
I'm curious, like, if, like, in New York or wherever Yzerman ends up, right? If you put him with like a talented center, what can he do? Like, because we saw it in the NTDP how just good of a goal scorer he was, and even last year, BU, last season he was a big goal scorer for them. So I'm so curious, like, if he earns that sort of clout to be in the top six and play with that kind of a center, what can that do for someone?
Like, hey, this is with a Bo Horvat, like, that'd be a good guy to stick him with.
Yeah, it could. Does he break into he has to be in the top six. Cole Yzerman has to be in a top six. So is he good enough to be in a top six? That's the question. Yeah. What was this? Ryan M's saying he doesn't break camp. He's gone by November. 0 shot and assignment to Providence doesn't trigger an immediate trade demand. I don't see that. They're not Hagens. No,
his makeup is better than that. He's a good kid.
He's fine. Like, he'll be fine. And if they kept him in Providence, he'd be fine. So I don't think that that's fully the case. Connor Hickey, Zellers will be better than Yzerman. Ooh. This was a popular sentiment at
I think we're getting a Bruins trade.
Oh, we are? Oh, Okay, well, finally we got something.
Reichel to Boston from Vancouver for a 6th. That can't be Chicago's Lucas Reichel. I don't think it's spelled the same way. Pierre must have it on TV because I don't see a tweet.
I see it. Vancouver trades Reichel to Boston for a 6th round pick.
It is Lucas Reichel. Oh my God. God, is he falling off the face of the planet?
23. German.
Yeah, he was a high pick once upon a time.
They love their former first-round picks, baby.
Victor Soderstrom, baby.
That's right. 17th overall in 2020 by the Blackhawks. I have his
It kind of says how much like his stock has fallen. I thought it was a different Reichel.
Yeah, I
thought he was still in Chicago.
Well, he's with Vancouver. Or no, wait. Yeah, he's with Vancouver. Okay. So he was dealt this year. He had 4 points in 5 games with Chicago, almost point per game player, and went to Vancouver. We had 1 assist in 14 games, currently with Abbotsford in the AHL. 6 goals, 13 points in 23 games. And he was just with Germany in the Olympics. 2 goals and an assist in 5 games for them. Best NHL season was last year. 22 points in 70 games for Chicago. He is only 23 still. So, like, I'm fine with this. A 6th rounder for this kind of a flyer on a player. I don't know the ins and outs of Lucas Reichel. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know everything about him. But just off, like, the front-facing part of it, I'm fine with try it out. Why not?
Like, Bruins just announced it, so it's official. 2026 6th. Like, that's the exact type of flyer you want to take, right? Like, so we said this the other day. I said this to you, I think, in Slack. Like, you know, their pro scouts have been pretty good at identifying reclamation projects. Now, he's not going to turn into Pavel Zacha. It's not that type of reclamation project.
It's going to be better.
Can he be? Yeah, way better. There's your first line left wing, folks. Can he turn himself into like a 3rd line scorer? Can he stick in that type of capacity? We'll see. But I get that probably at this point in his development, 23, skilled guy, obviously, to be that high of a pick. It's probably not going to click in your top 6 at this point, but can he turn into a top 9 contributor?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm seeing like reminds me of a Houston Dinoff type ad. Jack's here. Hey, Jack, happy you're here. 2-year, $1.2 million deal. I'm fine with this 6th round pick. Like,
yeah,
it felt this way about Arvidsson last year. What was it, a 5th for Victor Arvidsson? It's like, why not? You need a guy in your top, in your middle 6. He's going to do that. He's reliable. Not that Reichel's the same thing, but take a flyer on him. They tried it last year with Wahlstrom, and it didn't work. But they tried it. You tried it. I'm fine with that. It did not work. But, like, I'm okay with this. If that's the one move they made, they do need help on the wing. He is a wing. Fine. Like, I'm fine with that.
So Jay Fresh just tweeted his card.
Oh, no.
It's a lot of red.
Oh.
But Lucas Reichel, acquired by Boston, is speedy.
That's it. 3% projected more.
It's better than, Michael McCarron, acquired by Minnesota, is big. It's better than that. We like speedy.
Okay, so speedy. All right, that's something. They do need speed. Time on ice, 4th liner. But you're right, Pat. You said it just like a second ago. Bruins pro scouting staff does a good job. They can usually find diamonds in the rough. They've done it the last couple of years. Wotherspoon, Geeky, Zacha, Aspero, like a lot of different things there. I like this comment from Court. Could be worse. They could have reacquired Trent Frederick. Just bring everybody back. Frederick, Carlo,
DeBrusk.
Everybody. Yep. DeBrusk. Forgot about him. Everybody come on back. We're going to restart this.
CJ Kelly called Lucas Reichel the new Beecher. I don't think Lucas Reichel is going to be quite like John Beecher. I think something tells me maybe a little more skilled in perimeter than Lucas Reichel, than John Beecher.
Then maybe
more of a perimeter player, probably.
Yeah, as Chiefy Smeefy says, I mean, it's a 6th round pick, nothing to lose hair over. It's true. Like, there's nothing crazy about that. 6th rounder. It's not like you gave up a ton. Take a flyer on him. If it doesn't work out, it's a 6th round pick.
Yeah, like, exactly.
You basically got a 6th rounder for a former 1st. Like, that's not
when you
bad.
put it that way, it's a home run.
That's a home run. Take the value every time. Scott Laughton went to the Kings for a third rounder. So there's that. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, does Reichel play up with the Bruins this year? He'll probably get some time, but I'd imagine that he'd be in Providence mostly. I would think. So
Yeah.
maybe he's Daniel Paille, as Tim says.
Yeah.
So,
hey, sure.
They're good at these little trades. Bruins are good at these little trades, finding value, finding diamonds in the rough. They're good at this. So I'm okay with this. And you gave up nothing for it. So fine.
Yeah. Like
Fine by me.
Lucas Reichel will have the same impact on your organization in all likelihood. That he might even have more impact on your organization than a 6th-round pick. Like if he's in the AHL, hey, a 6th-round pick might not even get to the AHL. Like it's if you want to like get into the nitty gritty like that. Like if he even plays NHL games, like that's probably more than a 6th-round pick will, unless you get Pavel Datsyuk. Was he a 7th? Like unless you somehow stumble upon a
One
guy
of
like
them.
that, like unless you stumble upon that, like that's way more bang for your buck than hanging on to a 6th-round pick.
We're a pro Lucas Reichel podcast. We have always been a pro Lucas.
This is the
podcast.
Lucas Reichel podcast. We've talked about him so many times in the past.
Incredible amounts. Court says it's that long of a day you're dissecting this. Yeah, man.
It's the only thing to dissect.
What else are we supposed to talk about? Like I'm not breaking down last night's game. No way.
I do like kind of want to think about like, okay, Scott Laughton got a 3rd. Last year didn't he go for a 1st last year?
Yeah, to Toronto, right?
Yeah. And then like yesterday it was Nick Roy got a 1st and a 3rd, and everybody's like, well, Victor Arvidsson should at least get you a 1st and a 3rd. I don't know. Like I said this to you. I think is it Nick Waugh or Nick Roy? Waugh, right?
I think it's Waugh.
Like that's the 6'4", 200 pounds, 3rd-line center who, 30, 40 points on his best years. Like people fall over themselves for those guys at this time of year. Like he has a cup, right? When he was with Vegas, like Victor Arvidsson's people aren't falling over themselves for Victor Arvidsson. No. These guys love big 3rd-line centers who, play a defensive game. Now Nick Waugh is slow. He is slow as hell. But like, hey, that's the guy Colorado looks at and like, we need that guy for the postseason. Like that's just what happens at this time of year.
For a playoff team that is like the stereotypical guy you absolutely want. Ryan asks, who goes from the lineup when Hagens slides in? Well, the deadline's over, so there's nobody, can't trade anybody. I mean, he makes a lot of sense on your second line, but that line has worked. So I don't know if I see Sturm switching that line up.
Do you think an Asimont comes out, who's in the leadoff, slides down, and there's a top 6 spot for Hagens?
Up with
Lindholm and Pastrnak.
I could see that. I don't know if they start him out on line 1. He'd have a lot of support though.
Like that's the thing, right? Like playing with those guys, like say what you want about Lindholm at this stage in his career, like that type of player with a young skill guy like Hagens, there's value in that. And then you have Pastrnak, like, gosh, who better to play with?
Yeah. Like, could it be Geeky, Mint, and Hagens? I don't know if they want Mint and Hagens together. That's my only thing. Like, because you're right, Pat. If you put him out there with Lindholm and Pastrnak, you're giving him support down the middle, good two-way guy, and you're giving him Pastrnak, who's a phenomenal playmaker and goal scorer, and top 10 player in the league. But you're giving him those tougher matchups as the season goes along. That actually does make sense. Move Hustendinov just down a little bit. AC Mont comes out. You could get away with that. You could, but I don't know. I feel like they're too conservative. I feel like they're going to have him second or maybe third line, like because they didn't move anybody. The cooks are all still in the kitchen.
I don't like starting him on the 3rd line, and the second line. I don't like the fit with Zach and Arvidsson the way I do with Lindholm and Pastrnak. But like the 3rd line thing with Hagens, like it comes back to the problems we've had with this organization, like when Merkulov and Lysell have gotten shots, and it's like, all right, we're going to put you on the 3rd line. Time for the Leopard to change his spots and play a game that he's not suited to play. Like he should be this is, kicking the can down the road. But like when you look at like Dean long term and his kind of floor and Hagens long term and his floor. Like if Hagens doesn't work out, like is he carving a career as a third line guy? Maybe. Like
Not
he's a
bottom
top
6.
6 skill set. He's a top 6 play style. Like I just don't know if it makes sense to kind of shove him in there in the third line just for the sake of like, all right, where are you gonna go? Here you go, third line left wing. Like doesn't make sense to me.
Well, this is why. I mean, they went out and got Jeannot in part because you're gonna have these prospects coming up. They got to be protected. So, like CJ Kelly says, I would put him with Tanner and Cass to like protect him, like they did with Mitten and Potter to get going. I could easily see them doing that. I could easily see them saying, "We're gonna just for the first couple games, you're gonna play with these guys, and we're gonna see what you can do." And they're gonna be out there basically to protect you. So I think that's like It probably makes a lot of sense on paper for him to be up with Lindholm and Pastrnak, and you put that line together. But I think this is the most realistic option. I think this is what they end up doing if he's in Boston. They put him with one of or both of those guys. Regine says, do you think no deal means Sweeney sees this bad play continuing? I don't know if it's like bad play continuing. I think it's more so just like, throw your hands up. Like this is all gravy to this, like the rest of the way. I don't see it as like they're gonna regress. I see this as like, well, they've earned their right to play as a group the rest of the year, but they didn't quite earn like go out and get rentals or like go big for guys. I think.
No, exactly. It's like we'll say that till we're blue in the face, and it's like they've earned the right to have not like get pieces taken away, but the concerns are real. Like play on the road, you see a game like last night, just the flaws that have kind of shown their head here since the break. Those are real concerns, and it's are you going to commit to that? I'd rather just let it be at around the edges like a Reichel, and just this is it. This is the group. Go make a push.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I think rest of the way, and they're going to compete for a playoff spot. And this is so fence city. I hate this. I could see them snagging the last wild card spot. I could see them falling out of it. And I think they're going to do that quite a bit the last month or so of the season. I think that's what they are. Like, that's what they are. I don't see them surging and I don't see them completely falling. I see them being in and around it, and it's going to be a coin flip. I think they play the Blue Jackets like the last game or second to last game of the season. So that's going to be a big game late in the year. This is what they are. Like, this is it. Like,
yeah. And like, hey man, if we weren't going to be saddled with like, missing the playoffs, not having anything to kind of pay attention to in April and May, and like, if you take the human element out of it, and this is just like GM mode and video games and, doing things on paper, like, hey, if they fell out of it and got like maybe the ping pong balls go their way, or you fall out of it enough where you're kind of flirting with the top 10 a little bit and you get Toronto's pick, like if you want to just talk about like the business part and like the long term, that might be pretty good. But no, like as humans, like you do want playoff hockey. You want something to like that would suck to not have that. But it's not the end of the world, right? Like there are positives in both.
Yeah, there is. Lil Chips, do you think they are going to get pumped in the first round if they get in? I think they're going to beat up on another team and it's going to be harder than we think. So Lil Chips, you saying that you think they're going to win the first round? I think they give a team a tough battle in the first. It's likely what Toronto, not Toronto, my God, Tampa or Carolina, one of those two teams.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
Look, I don't think they'd be total pushovers. I don't know if I would pick them to win the series, but like they're not going to get smoked.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, right now they would play Carolina actually. So, I mean, that's a hard team to play against. They'd fight. I don't think they're winning that series, but they'd fight. I think we've hit on everything. Am I crazy? I think we've extracted everything we can
do another hour on Lucas Reichel.
We'll do another hour. Just Lucas Reichel. Like, we'll break down his film. We'll go through all of it. Any leftover thoughts? I mean, I just think it was kind of not a memorable deadline at all.
No, and hey, maybe we're sitting here in 3 years and Hagens is panning out just as we hoped, and Dean is coming along, and it's, man, thank God they didn't go do something stupid at the deadline, and maybe that's what it is. It's probably a slow burn, whichever the fallout from this deadline is. Like there's the immediate here and now of the playoffs and the draft picks, wherever those fall. But I think the benefits will be seen in a few years if things pan out with what they didn't move.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like I think I'm fine with this. I know that people are going to overreact to this. Everyone's going to, people are going to be mad and they're going to, they should have sold this guy. They should have sold that guy. It's fine. They're not going to be crippled because they didn't deal Peeke. They're not going to be crippled because they didn't deal Arvidsson. It is what it is. It's 1 year. They got all their prospects last year. They're going to make a bunch of picks this year. They can still make moves at the draft. I didn't put a ton of value in this deadline to begin with. They get Lucas Reichel and they have the AHLers swaps. It seems like that's it. It's 45 minutes after the deadline's passed. I think we're done. Although who just signed 3 times 4.85? Oh, JG Pajot resigns in
New
York.
That's the news of the day.
The shoe to drop, baby. That was the shoe to drop. One way, Pat, I always say, what can the people look forward to from you? But it's both of us doing a Hockey Journal, baby. Go subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
Go check us out.
Go subscribe. YouTube channel just passed 1,000 subs.
That's right.
Be 1,001. I don't know where we are right now, but hey, if you're
we did. We got to 1.01. So
okay.
We're good. We want some more though. please do some more. Press conference just started. I'm curious if anything has been said before we head out. I know I've seen like I'm wrapping up, but I'm curious if.
Well, we can play like the schedule thing too. You got a handful of games again. Like there are 2 against Columbus. You mentioned. You got Montreal. You got Detroit. Like there, some pretty big games down the stretch, and you get the Leafs on the 24th. Like you could just take a dive in that game.
You need to win. You need to win. Oh no, because they're gonna be tanking. No. So you're right. You need them to win.
They need to be just bad enough to be like top 8, just good enough to be outside of the top 5.
That's right. You're right. Sweeney, according to Ty, said, quote, "It just didn't materialize." So I'm assuming that
was like a -500 quote.
Yeah, that you knew that was happening. No opportunities to improve our hockey club. That's like a classic him quote. So yeah, I don't expect anything different from Sweeney. I don't think he's gonna say anything groundbreaking. I just think, as I said, the prices were too high and what they were gonna get was too low, and so they didn't make any moves. Like I think honestly, I think it's as simple as that. That's a deadline. Yep. That's it.
Boring.
Yeah, boring, but we had fun, and I hope you guys had fun with us. This was a blast. We don't normally do an hour and 47 minutes, especially off of like not much, but we found a way. We found a way. Pat, as always, it's been fun. We'll have you on more as you and I talk all the time. So it's just kind of a continuing conversation into the real world. But that's Bruins Beat. That's Pat Donnelly. I'm Evan Marinofsky. You Bruins Beat listeners and viewers have a great rest of your week.